Hello everyone, I'm Teacher Go. Today, we are going to talk about marketing, specifically industrial market buying behavior. Through this section, we'll learn and understand these key points. The first is the characteristics of the industrial market. Second, the buying entities in industrial markets. Third, the participants in industrial buying decisions. Fourth, the types of behaviors of industrial buyers. Fifth, we'll discuss the main factors influencing industrial buyers' decisions. This is a key point. Sixth, we need to understand the decision-making process of industrial buyers. This is another key point. Let's first talk about the characteristics of the industrial market. Just get a general understanding of this content. We'll focus on this content. What are its characteristics? First, there are fewer buyers, but the scale of purchases is large. A characteristic of the industrial market is the small number of buyers. Unlike the consumer market, with billions of people worldwide, each person being a separate group, all are buyers. But in the industrial market, there are very few buyers. This is in contrast to the consumer market, where the scale of purchases is especially large. For the consumer market, our purchases might just be a few $1,000s. But for the industrial market, it's often tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or even billions. That's the scale of buying when compared to the consumer market. Second, the demand in the industrial market is derived demand, which is different from the consumer market. In the consumer market, it's about what I desire, and I just want to consume this product. But in the industrial market, it's because of the consumer market's demand that this demand is derived. Third, it involves professional buyers, meaning in the industrial market, buyers are very professional. They possess specialized knowledge and have undergone professional training. The difference from the consumer market is that we might know very little about some products, and we haven't gone through this professional training. We've only learned a bit of knowledge in a fragmented way. Fourth is mutual benefit, which exists in both consumer and industrial markets. But it's just more pronounced in the industrial market. It's more evident there. Fifth, leasing is widely prevalent. Why is it that many products in the industrial market are leased rather than purchased outright? We can look at construction, where many cranes, mixers, are actually leased. Also, excavators, trucks, they are all leased. They are not purchased directly. Let's understand further what the buying entities are in the industrial market. Industrial goods. Let's see what industrial goods are. They refer to the products or services purchased by industrial buyers for processing, production, operation, meaning after purchasing these goods, they are used for further processing, or for production, or for operation. Clearly, the term consumption is not included, meaning the use of these products is for the production of further industrial goods, or for the production of final consumer goods. This is a unique characteristic of industrial products, and the biggest difference from consumer products is the purpose of purchase. We buy consumer products for personal enjoyment, to consume them. But industrial products are purchased to produce further products. This is their main distinction. Let's look at the classification of industrial products. We can classify them based on their usage. They are divided into intermediate industrial products and final industrial products. This includes what? Look at intermediate ones, such as raw materials, auxiliary materials, and various components, while final industrial products mainly serve the industry, or are used in various engineering projects. We can classify them based on their participation in the production process, or their role in value transfer. They can be categorized into several types, such as materials and components, including raw materials, semi-finished goods, and agricultural products, some of which are directly consumed. Take potatoes, for example. When you get home, you directly consume them. In Guizhou, they call it yangyu, and it's eaten stir-fried at home. That's a consumer product. But if we use it to make chips, it becomes a raw material. There are also natural products, such as oil. The most common example of oil. You can't just put crude oil in a car. It won't work. So, it's most commonly used as a raw material. in the production process for food and beverages. Then, there are semi-finished goods and components, which are easy to understand. Capital items, equipment, facilities, like the cranes, factories, the production machinery in factories, and the associated equipment. Wastewater treatment, equipment for wastewater treatment, and equipment complementing other things. These things all have a relative concept. Then, there are supplies and services. What are supplies? Lubricants, fuel. These are not consumed directly. And then there are services, such as maintenance services. When a machine breaks, it needs to be repaired. These provided services. And also business consulting, legal services, and such. Let's talk about the participants in industrial purchasing. Who does it include? 1. The users. Those who actually use these industrial goods. 2. Influencers. Those within and outside the organization, who directly or indirectly influence buying decisions. These are the influencers. They do not directly use the industrial goods, but they influence those who do. They only affect the users. 3. The buyers. And 4. The deciders, those with the authority. This is easy to understand. They are the ones who ultimately decide on the purchase. Lastly, let's talk about the gatekeepers of information. What does this refer to? Within and outside the organization, those who can control the flow of market information to direct it towards the deciders and users. This is relatively more abstract and complex, because these people can control this information, filtering and processing it as it passes through them, controlling when and what type of information gets delivered to the deciders. This is explained in detail. Let's delve into the behavior of industrial buyers. Fourth, let's talk about the types of industrial buyer behavior. First, straight rebuy. Second, new buy. Third, modified rebuy. There are some differences. For a straight rebuy, I just go ahead and repurchase directly. A modified rebuy is a decision with modifications. No need to make complex decisions anew. Not starting from scratch, but based on how decisions were made before. I now buy accordingly. And then there's new buying, which requires extensive research and investigation. This is what was mentioned earlier, explaining why industrial market buyers need to be professional. It's evident here. In the case of new buying, extensive research is necessary, and it's done cautiously. Then there's modified rebuy, which lies in between the two, also requiring certain investigations and research. It's not simply about going straight to buy without doing anything else, just buying directly, signing off and purchasing. Nor is it completely new, not requiring extensive decision making from start to finish. It involves making some adjustments, some modifications. Let's focus here on what the main factors influencing industrial buyers are. First, environmental factors. There are many, relating to what we've discussed before, those macro and micro factors. Second, the organization, including goals, decision making, and organizational procedures, involving how many people need to sign off and how many approvals are needed. There's also organizational structure, as well as internal rules and regulations of the organization. Next is interpersonal, the influence of authority and status within interpersonal relationships, the impact of position, as well as attitudes and persuasiveness of decision makers or influencers, and how persuasive you can be. Your ability to persuade others or be persuaded. This is individual, so the decision-making types of buyers are influenced by personal factors such as age, income, education, position, personality, attitude towards risk, whether you are a risk taker, a risk avoider, or neutral towards risk, and personal cultural level. Of course, education and culture influence each other. The process includes several stages. What stages does it include? First, at this point, we need to combine what was mentioned earlier: new buying, modified rebuy, or straight rebuy. This involves recognizing the need, defining the need, specifying the requirement, identifying suppliers, then soliciting proposals, and then selecting suppliers, followed by choosing the ordering process, and finally evaluating the performance of the contract. Students, by this point, you'll understand how these processes compare to buying a piece of clothing or a consumer product. It's much more complex. Although, not every type requires this process. But whichever the type of purchase, it always starts with a new buy. Meaning it will go through such a process. A process that is relatively professional and more complex. Let's talk about the first step, recognizing the need. In the cases of new buying and modified rebuy, the buyer begins by recognizing the need to purchase a certain product to meet a specific need within the organization. For example, in schools, let's say we plan to purchase some educational facilities and equipment. At this point, a teacher might raise the need, expressing the desire for such items to fulfill educational purposes. So, at this point, what triggers it? It can be internal stimuli, or it can be external stimuli. Internal stimuli mean the teacher themselves identify the need, while external stimuli could be seeing other schools have it, and then wanting to have it too. Second, specification. At this time, we need to specify the variety and quantity. What kind of products do I want to buy? How many do I need? It's as simple as that. Third, we need to articulate the need. Fourth, we start looking for suppliers. To articulate the need means to put it down on paper, to make it known to society that I have this need. Then, we start looking for suppliers who will supply this product. Whose product will I purchase? Fifth, solicit advice. The goal is to minimize the final risk of the purchase, to reduce it as much as possible by seeking various pieces of advice, to decrease the chances of making a purchasing mistake. Sixth, we have to choose the supplier. The traditional method of choosing a supplier involves negotiating with the preferred suppliers, using bidding, competing, and negotiating processes. Then, generally, we aim for the lowest price and the best terms. There needs to be a balance between cost and quality. Now, some purchases also start focusing on the cost-performance ratio, meaning it's not necessarily the lowest price that will make them our supplier. In current procurement practices, people are more rational. That is, if a product is cheap, it often implies low quality. So, in purchasing, our decisions now are wiser. Comparing quality on top of the price. Sometimes, we might sacrifice a bit of price for quality. Seventh, choose the ordering process. Finally, evaluate the performance of the contract. Once the contract is fulfilled, the goods are in our hands. Okay, let's summarize. In this section, we primarily discussed 6 aspects. And the key points we need to grasp are the main factors influencing industrial buyers' decisions and the decision-making process of industrial buyers. Okay, students, that's all for this lesson. Thank you, everyone.